Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for checking me out again. I have 3 high-end DIYs for you guys tonight. I'm so excited to get into these. Stay tuned, here they come. Alright, DIY number 1 is a framed canvas wall hanger. I actually ordered this canvas off Temu, and I knew it wasn't going to be framed, so I was prepared for this. We need some tumbling tower blocks, some Titebond Premium 2 wood glue, and this is what we're going to start off with. So I did make a mistake here, and I'm going to show you. You need 2 sets of 13 tumbling tower blocks. And I'm going to write it down so you can see it, so you can write it down, so you can remember. Now, I did write right here, you also need 2 sets of 9. That is a correction. You're going to need 2 sets of 8, not 9. I repeat, 2 sets of 8, not 9. I learned the hard way. I don't want you guys to learn the hard way. So make sure you write 8 and not 9. And of course, you know, all we're going to do is glue them together. Let them dry. Make sure they're nice and sturdy. And then what I like to do after they're all together and dry and we know where they're not going to fall apart, because they're all not made the same way, I do like to take my zip sander and sand our lengths of board, so to speak. So as you can see here, they're all done. They're glued together. I sanded them and I rounded the corners so they're nice and smooth. There's no gaps. One's not higher than the other. They're all even. And I'm trying to show you here. You see the difference? The one on the left is sanded. The one on the right isn't. And see how some of them are raised and they're just not flush. So I go ahead and I do take my zip sander and I show you. I sand it all down. And I do take my zip sander and run it on an angle on every corner to kind of give it like a round edge. So I do glue them together. You need the 2 sets of 8 on the sides and the 2 sets of 13. One's going to go on top, one's going to go on bottom. For added security, I did add staples in each corner. You see that? Just for a peace of mind, so I know they're together. They're not going to come apart. Because sometimes these things do have a tendency of breaking apart. So don't be shy on the wood glue. Now here's my folk art wood tint in the color maple. I'm going to go ahead and stain this frame. I'm going to do the outside, the inside, and the back. If you notice, I do have my wax paper down and my rubber gloves on because this stain does exactly what it's supposed to. It stains everything, including your skin. So here we are. Now, this is a canvas I ordered off Temu. I did get the 15.7 by 23.6 inch canvas. So I did get the extra large one. And I'm like, how are we going to get this canvas to stay on this frame without it looking wrinkled and dilapidated, so to speak? So my mind is going in a million different directions because I'm winging it. All I thought about was the canvas in the frame. I didn't think about the backing. So I'm like, I have styroboard. Yes, I do. So I lay my styroboard down and I'm going to put my canvas on top of my styroboard. And I'm like, this is all fine and dandy. But now we have to attach said canvas to this styroboard. How are we going to do this? We can't really do it with hot glue because it's going to look lumpy and it's not going to look professional. So we are going to use Mod Podge. And when I say that it came out better than I expected, it came out really good. Wait till you see the end result. It's really, really nice. And I did get this for my daughter for Easter. So this is going to be beside her Easter basket on Easter morning when she wakes up. She is 5, and her name is Charlie. That's who my channel is named after, in case you didn't know. And she is a mixed child. So her father is black and I am white. And she's just now starting to question her skin color. So I want her to know that it doesn't matter what color your skin is. It's who you are on the inside. So I thought this canvas was perfect for her. So here we are, we're Mod Podging. And I do it in sections because it is so large. And I don't want the Mod Podge to dry out before I get to the other end. Okay, great. So now I'm going to take my Exacto knife and I'm going to cut around the frame. Now, after we cut this out, I have to figure out a way for this styro board to stick to this frame. Glue isn't going to cut it, right? So, at first, I try stapling. That did not work. It wasn't going through the styro board into the tumbling tower blocks. So, I get out my finishing nails, and I do put one into each side. Just one finishing nail. The very, very tiny nails from the Dollar Tree. And I put one into the left, one into the right, one into the top, one into the bottom. Alright, so I feel it on the reverse side, and I'm like, the nails poke through. If she grabs it, she's gonna get cut. So I do take my zip sander, and I sand down that nail, and it works. So it's smooth, she won't get cut, and here I am just taking my wood tank, going over the parts I did sand. Now, we need a hanger. And we need a way for this to hang on the wall. So I'm like, alright, let me think about this for a second. We usually use jute as a hanger. This is a heavier piece, so I want to use more than jute. I am going to go with the Macrame Cord for this as a hanger. And I double it up. I use 2 of them. So I cut a length, I fold it in half, and I cut it down the middle. And this is a piece of pink burlap wired ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I am cutting off the wire on both ends. I am going to fold this in half and cut this down the middle. This I'm going to put over each end of my macrame cord as added security, so I know that this hanger is not going to fall off. I also want to say real quick, one of my subscribers left a comment and said that I talk too much about personal things and I don't stick to the DIY. They just want to hear about the DIY and that's it. I'm sorry, I'm not built like that. I feel a bond to my subscribers, and I feel like you guys should know what goes on in my life, because it's not like we're sitting down to have coffee and brunch tomorrow. You know, you're not going to come over and visit, and we can talk about last night's DIY. So I want to give you glimpses into my life, and apparently some subscribers don't like that. I apologize. But you don't have to listen. You can fast forward, or you don't have to tune in at all. But that's how I am. That's how I'm built. And that's how this channel is going to flow. Now, as you see, I got my little silicone spatula here from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just taking my hot glue. I'm putting my macrame cord over the hot glue. And then I'm going to take a piece of my burlap wired ribbon. I'm going to add some more hot glue and add that piece of ribbon over the end of the macrame for added security. and she's dry. I want to make sure everything's secure, so I'm just pressing it down into place. I'm taking the extra glue that has risen above the burlap ribbon because I don't want it rough and, I'm make sure it's smooth. Can't talk tonight. Every night. It's every night. So I'm just feeling the tension to make sure that when I hang it on the wall, it's not going to droop too far down and above the frame. The corners of my ribbon were lifting up right here, so I'm just adding a little more glue, and I'm tapping it down. Guys, please make sure you wear your finger protectors. Don't be like me and have burns all over your fingertips because I'm hard-headed. Please wear your finger protectors if you're going to do things like this. I can't stress that enough. And as you can see, I got burnt. Story of my life. And this little Surebonder mini glue gun, I mean, this thing really does get hot. Like, super hot. So, please, make sure you're protected at all times. Now, I think she's pretty much done and finished. And this is what she's looking like from the front. How special is that? I'm going to show you pics at the end, don't worry. Let's get into DIY number 2. So we're going to make a family lit ladder. You can hang it on your wall, you can hang it on your door. This is super cute and super high-end looking. So you're going to take one of these ladders from the Dollar Tree, and it's Wall Decor by Special Moments in the Dollar Tree. I don't know if you can see the tag number or not. You're going to need one of these planks from the Dollar Tree. You're also going to need some antiquing wax, some Snow White chalk paint, all by Waverly, and some Truffle chalk paint. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is lay down some wax paper because I know I'm going to make a mess. So, lay down your wax paper so you don't get debris and paint and stain all over your workspace or your work surface. Lay down some wax paper, so all you have to do when you're done is pick up the wax paper and throw it in the trash. Easy peasy lemon freezy, as my daughter would say. Now, the first thing we are going to start with is our one wood plank. So you're going to want to break that out and get it ready to be sanded down. And the reason why I say that is because we all know how Dollar Tree wood is. I love Dollar Tree. I love their wood. But we all know how it can be. And I actually rounded the corners on this one already. So yours are going to have pointy corners. If you want to leave the pointy corners, that's okay. If you want to round them, round them. Now we're going to take our truffle paint and we are going to paint this wood plank in the color truffle. Now you don't have to use truffle. Here I am stirring mine because it got a little thick, so I sprayed a couple squirts of water in there and I'm just mixing it together and getting it to a paint-like consistency. Now, the reason why I'm painting this truffle is because the person who ordered this ladder is a coworker of mine, and she wanted rustic. So she wanted her ladder stained, and she wanted a white dry brush. Now, if you're doing black and white, obviously you're not going to paint this truffle. You're going to paint it black or white. So go with your color scheme. The only reason why this is truffle is because it matches the stain and it matches the rustic look. Now, I'm going to go ahead and start disassembling our ladder. I'm going to first start by cutting off that tag hanging off our hanger. And then I'm going to go ahead and get a flathead screwdriver because that little piece of greenery right there is held in by two tiny staples. So the best way to get these Dollar Tree staples out is a small flathead screwdriver. So that's what I'm going to grab. And we're just going to insert one corner of the screwdriver under the staple and kind of pry it up, but try not to damage the wood underneath. So be gentle, but do have a heavy hand at the same time. I know that sounds oxymoronic, but when you get in there and actually do this, you'll understand what I mean. And they're not large staples. They're really small staples, and they're not embedded into the wood that deep. And just like that, she's off. Now we have that out of the way. Don't throw that away because we're going to add that on later. And you don't need a staple gun to add this back to the ladder, so don't worry about that. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get my antiquing wax, and I'm going to first apply some with a brush. And then I'm going to take a baby wipe, and I'm going to go over the whole ladder with the baby wipe. Now, I know you're like, why do I see her Cricut? So this is the Joy, and this is the stencil vinyl I was telling you guys about. I'm actually making a stencil. So we can personalize that wood plank that's going to hang off the bottom of the ladder. Now, on the bottom of mine, it says Home of the Kennedy Crew. So that's our family name. So that's what our ladder says. She wanted hers to say Home of this crew, established 2020. So we made the stencil. Now I want to show you here. When I'm peeling the stencil vinyl off the mat, I don't know, I wasn't looking, I wasn't paying attention, but when I peel it off, I'm like, ugh, where'd the inside of my ego? And I'm immediately looking for it. I'm looking everywhere for it. Where is it? Oh my goodness, how did I lose it? I know exactly how I lost it. I was peeling it off, and when I peeled off the end, it must have popped off the paper and flew somewhere. So I'm like, great. We have to make the inside of this E, which is not a problem. I traced it out, I cut it out, and I added it back into the E. So we're back, we're ready to go. Now you're going to get your transfer paper, and you're going to add your transfer paper over this whole piece of stencil vinyl. So cut it to size, add it over, scrape it on really, really good. Because you want the inside of the E's and you want the inside of the O's. You want everything attached. So make sure you scrape your transfer paper really well over this stencil vinyl. Now I'm going to add these words separately because I don't want overlay. So here I am just painting of. And then I add this crew established 2020. I paint that, and I paint a couple of layers because I want it to really pop out. So you paint your couple layers, sorry, and then you take off your vinyl and you weed it. And get rid of your mess. There it is. Looks perfect. Great. So, okay, we're going to dry brush this. It's dry. We're going to dry brush over the whole ladder. Now, let me tell you. This is a brand new brush in my hand, and it was terrible. And I mean terrible. I was losing hair left and right with this stupid chippy brush. I was so upset. I was plucking hair off this ladder for a good 15 minutes. So, when you dry brush, make sure it's not like one of these brushes. I will never purchase this brush again in my life. It was so bad. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to start our dry brushing process. Right here, I'm going to dry brush over our plank so everything matches, everything's cohesive. And now we have our fairy lights. And what I'm doing is I'm wrapping the fairy lights around each rung of the ladder. And I'm going to go up one side, over, up and over, up and over. So every rung has some lights on it. Every side has some lights on it. So I'm like, okay, we're going to start from the bottom because we want our battery pack in the back of this plank. I knew that from my previous one that I've already done for myself. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to attach this plank to the bottom of our ladder. And use a generous amount of hot glue because we want this plank to stay. Remember, it's going to hold a battery pack with batteries in it. So we want a secure bond here. Now I'm going to go ahead and attach our battery pack to the back of this plank with a generous amount of hot glue. Remember, do not glue the cover side down. Make sure your cover with your screw in it is facing you so when the batteries die, you can change out the batteries. I don't want you to make that mistake. And always test your lights before you glue it down. You don't want to glue it down and then turn it on and find out your lights don't work anymore. You'll be mad. So go ahead and make sure you glue it at the very bottom so you have enough space to turn on your switch. You don't want to glue it at the top and then you can't get your finger in between the ladder and the battery pack to flip that switch. You want to glue it as far down to the bottom as possible without it showing. And you're going to want to go ahead and take that wire and tuck it up in between so nothing's hanging. Everything is flush and against the plank. She's looking good, guys. She's looking good. So we want to go ahead and add this greenery back. And I'm going to add it in the same place. All I'm going to do is I'm going to trim down the stem a little bit. Because we don't need all that stem. And our plank is there anyway. So we want to get rid of the bottom piece of the stem. So we're going to cut that right off. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to apply this greenery with some hot glue. Again, I do want to say I did apply the fairy lights with hot glue. I put it on the copper wire part. I did not put any glue near the lights or on the lights. I did glue only the wire. And I glued it in every corner going up the ladder. That's it. She's done. I'm happy. And my coworker's happy. That's all that matters. Now we're going to go ahead and get into DIY number 3. It's a quick Easter rope bunny shelf decor. Fast, high-end looking. So you're going to need some rope. And you're going to need the jute rope that's 9.5 feet. It's the skinnier jute rope. You're going to need this new Easter burlap they just came out with. And you're going to need some hot glue to start off with. So these rope bunnies are so incredibly easy, but they look so high-end. And I love them. Absolutely love them. So go ahead, take your tags and your zip ties and your tape off your rope. Get it all prepped to get started. And what I like to do is I always do these on my silicone mat because it's so much easier. So they sell tiny silicone mats at the Dollar Tree. If you have to, get yourself one of those. The silicone mat makes this project 1,000 times easier. So I'm right here. I'm just playing with how I'm going to form the ears and, you know, just playing with the rope, shaping it out, getting some ideas in my head. And I do double loop both ears, just so you know. I don't use one loop, I use two for the ears. So how I start my bunny is I bend my rope and I start twirling it. And then I add a generous amount of hot glue to the silicone mat. And I press the rope down into the glue. And then I just glue around, wrap it. Glue around, wrap it. But I put the glue on the mat, not on the rope. I put the glue on the silicone mat, but I put it around the rope. You follow me? So when I'm gluing the rope, I'm actually pushing the glue off the mat into the rope. So none of the glue is squirting out the top and you have a mess. Now I know you've seen the way I did the ears right there. I double looped them, cut them in half. Now I did make a mistake here because I wasn't going to put this into a box. I was going to leave it as is. So when I glued my ears to the bunny, I didn't have to worry about how tall the bunny was going to be. And then I had this great idea, let's put it in a box. So my ears were too big, so I wound up having to take off my ears and my little bow and repositioning them on the back of the bunny. So if you're going to put it in a box, make sure you measure before you glue your ears to the back of this bunny and make sure it fits in the box. So the ears. I wanted funny designs. I didn't want them to go the same way. I wanted them to go opposite ways. That's why I glued them funny to the burlap. And I just glued my little rope ears to the burlap and cut around them. That easy. I made a little bow and attached it to one of the ears. I thought it was super cute. And then I get the bright idea to put this bunny head in a box. So I had an 8x8 box, and I thought I recorded it taking off the paper and taking out the embellishments, but I lost that somehow. So I did paint the inside with plaster by Waverly. And you don't care if you get a little bit on the inside of the edges, because we're going to place these craft sticks inside this box. I want the bunny head to look like it's on like an Easter shiplap background, so to speak. So measure your craft sticks, cut them down to size. And you're going to need Waverly chalk paints in the color Agave, Maze, and Ballet Slipper. And this looks so high-end and so absolutely amazing. I love the way this came out. I'm actually happy I decided to do this, because what was I going to do with just a bunny head, right? And I didn't get me gluing the pom-pom to the bunny for the little bunny butt. I did glue a white pom-pom to the front of the bunny and gave it a butt. And as you can see, I had to reposition my ears and bring them down further in the back. And I did have to put the bow in the middle and not on the ear. So we just follow the color scheme. We went Agave, Ballet Slipper, Maze, and then I dry brushed them in Snow White. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to put a lot of hot glue on the back of these ears. And we are going to glue this bunny in this box. How stinking cute is this? I didn't do anything to the frame. I didn't stain it, dry brush it, nothing. Because I thought it matched the rope perfect. You got the colors behind it that matched the ears. And the yellow was just your pop color. Because there's no yellow in anything. I wanted a different color in there. So that's why I did the one yellow across the middle. Super, super cute. I love all these DIYs tonight. Guys, I hope you had fun hanging out with me. I'm glad you tuned back into my channel. This is how I styled it in my house. And I have these two little cute bunnies, and I have one holding it. Oh, how stinking cute is that, right? And here goes a frame for Easter for my daughter, hanging off the door. I love it. I love how all of these DIYs turned out. And here goes the ladder with the lights off, and then I show you with the lights on. Guys, make sure you subscribe, hit all notifications in the drop-down menu by the bell so YouTube knows when to notify you when I upload a new video. Like, comment, share, big thumbs up, leave me comments, let me know your thoughts and opinions. I like to converse with my subscribers. I love all of you guys. Remember, if nobody's told you today, you're strong, you're smart, you're talented, and you're the real MVP. And don't let anybody ever tell you otherwise. Because you are it, honey. Until the next one.